All right, this is it, folks. The final day of the 49ers offseason program, phase one, phase two, phase three, which is OTAs. And this week has been the 49ers mandatory minicamp, which basically, when you think about it, it certainly seemed like the voluntary portion of the 49ers offseason program was mandatory in some sense. Kyle Shanahan made it quite clear at the end of last season that yes, the offseason program is voluntary, but he would really appreciate it if everybody showed up. And that's exactly what happened. There were a couple of weeks there where Trent Williams wasn't around, but it's been, darn near 100% attendance rate. And that was something where some of the guys, who hadn't attended the voluntary portion of the offseason program in the past had not been around. Um, Trent Williams is one, Nick Bosa is another. But Shanahan really thought that for this offseason, coming off that 16-11 record, it was imperative for the 49ers to kind of be all on the same page, be around each other, and create that kind of chemistry or unity that brings teams together. So today is Wednesday, and that's the final day. The 49ers mini camp, their mandatory mini camp. After that, I think they'll have like a team barbecue or something, some sort of team building. But I think one of the things that you could see, last year, I mentioned the record, last place in the NFC West. How did they go about this offseason, kind of making sure that they put last year behind? And I think there were two things that kind of really showed up. One was a move that the 49ers made a year ago. Ben Peterson, who was basically the person who oversaw the training and the conditioning and just the human performance side of it, was hired away from the Atlanta or by the Atlanta Hawks of the NBA. And our old friend Grant Liftman, who was then a top executive with the Atlanta Hawks. But anyway, the 49ers this offseason replaced that position with the promotion of Dustin Perry from head strength and conditioning coach to the vice president of player health and performance. So that was the first move. The other move was just to take no chances with the injuries, not rushing people back, just making sure that everybody has plenty of time to recover. And as Shanahan said on Tuesday, I think that he kind of felt like all the veterans have all the work they need during the off season. They know what they're doing. Um, where the emphasis was a lot on the young guys, the guys new to the program, just kind of getting their feet wet and having some sort of understanding of what they are doing so that when they report back for training camp, you can kind of hit the ground running. But a lot of guys not on the field during the mandatory minicamp during this week and even last week, but very few of those injuries are things that would probably keep them out of practice if it were the regular season and they were getting ready for a game. So, kind of want to take you through the injury situation. Let's start off with the most significant ones. And it's basically, not basically, it is the ACL club. And so, this is based on what Kyle Shanahan had to say about the state of the team and the injuries and the recoveries and all that. And also just kind of me reading between the lines and talking to some other people. So let's start off with Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk was out on the practice field on Tuesday. You could tell he's kind of itching to get out there. He was, doing some very light movements. And just kind of watching the wide receiving core go through some drills. But Brandon Aiyuk had the right knee, the ACL, the MCL, and a lot of other stuff in that right knee. So he tore that in October, had the surgery about 3 weeks later in mid-November. He will start training camp on PUP, the physically unable to perform list. And all indications are that this will be a rehab, a physical therapy that will go on for quite some time. And so, my thought would be that he will start the season on PUP, and then that would mean 4 weeks where he would not be eligible to play. And then after that, it becomes a situation where sometime after that, it could be 5 weeks, it could be at some point further down the road. where the 49ers would look to bring him back. So don't expect Brandon Aiyuk ready for the start of the regular season. Two other guys where I think the 49ers will really take their time. Malik Mustapha. And the reason I'm going to say this, well, Malik Mustapha and Curtis Rourke, the quarterback the 49ers took in the seventh round, they had the same ACL injury twice. Once in college, well, actually for Rourke, twice in college. And you get the sense that because these are repeat surgeries, the 49ers are going to take an extra long time, maybe not extra long, but they're certainly going to be very cautious with those. And maybe with Mustafa, who had his knee injury, his original one, December of 2021, and Rourke, who had his original one in November of 2022, that maybe those players were kind of rushed back into the action a little bit fast. And in some sense, maybe that led to the re injuries of those knees, both the right knee in each case. So with Mustafa sustaining his re-injury of the right ACL in the 49ers final game of last season, he still is going to be a big part of this team going forward. So they're going to be extra cautious with him. So Malik Mustafa, expect him to also open the season on the PUP list. And then Rourke will be on the NFI, non-football injury, because it wasn't an NFL injury that he sustained. He could be somebody that they open the window up for him at some point during the season so he can get 3 weeks of work, but probably more than likely a redshirt year for Curtis Rourke. So I do expect Aiyuk back on the field this season. I expect Mustafa on the field this season, but looking at maybe half the year, or at least 4 games that each of those players will miss, and then Rourke, his situation, and I hear he's just doing a great job as far as the physical therapy part of it and the mental part of it. Look for him to be ready to go for the 2026 season and try to win a roster spot. The other ACL guy, and he sustained his torn ACL in practice in September, is Curtis Robinson, linebacker. He appears to be making really good progress, so kind of keep an eye out for him. But probably starting the season or starting the training camp on PUP, and then maybe having an opportunity to get out there during training camp. So watching him rehab, it looks like he's doing very well. Now, talked about the injuries of last season and what kind of impact it's had on the 49ers this offseason. I think you can look at all the guys who are currently out, and some guys could not practice, period. But a lot of other guys are just being held out, precautionary. So talking about kind of non-serious stuff with Juwan Jennings not practicing due to a calf injury, Ricky Pearsall not practicing due to a hamstring, and then some other guys. Jair Brown had ankle cleanup surgery, so he'll be ready. And all these guys I'm mentioning right now should be ready at the start of training camp. That's Jair Brown with the ankle. Michael Williams, the first round draft pick from Georgia. He's had a tight hamstring, so he isn't practicing. Alfred Collins had a calf injury right before the draft. Hasn't got on the field, has not practiced with the 49ers at all, but that's something that should be ready to go for training camp. And that's something also I should mention that 49ers knew about this before. I think it happened on his pro day. Yetur Gross-Matos, a veteran, has kind of had some wear and tear with the knee, and 49ers keeping him out, but he should be ready to go. Andre Dillard, the offensive tackle that the 49ers signed recently, a veteran guy, he had his ankle scoped, but he should be ready to go. And then George Odom had a knee injury, and but I don't, yeah, it's a knee injury, and he should be good for training camp as well, according to Kyle Shanahan. The one injury that does have a lasting impact is wide receiver and return specialist Trent Taylor, former 49ers draft pick back in 2017. Came back to the team last year, was on the practice squad for most of that time, did appear in a couple of games. He had a back condition, and the 49ers placed him already on season-ending IR. So the practice on Tuesday, had a chance to watch that hour-long practice, and couple of things that stood out. There was some red zone situations that they went through. Brock Purdy had an up and down day. He had a touchdown pass to Jordan Watkins, the rookie, and then a couple of interceptions. He threw one pick, Trey Brown. Who was covering Watkins, by the way. He's the veteran pickup from the Seattle Seahawks, looking to establish himself as the team's third outside cornerback. Trey Brown, keep an eye on him. And then another guy, another veteran free agent pickup, Jason Pinnock, safety from the New York Giants, who played a lot of football with the Giants. He intercepted Purdy as well. So when you look at the interceptions, and it's kind of, everybody who's, the media now, watching the practices, keeping stats, making, grand declarations based on every practice. And Kyle Shanahan said that that's actually one of the things that's kind of, I would say, impeded the growth of these players. But he doesn't want the players to approach practice like games. What he said is about the quarterback position. If you go through all these practices and you never throw a pick, you're probably not getting better. He said, I think that's one of the big challenges of having the media around is that they're not used to people reporting stats off of practices, how this guy's doing, this guy, bad day, good day, whatever else. And he goes, when you're concerned about how your stats look in practice and you're not trying new things and you're not testing the boundaries and everything else, you're not getting better. So that's where that's how Kyle Shanahan came down. And I would say this: I think that Brock Purdy looks very good. Yes, there are the picks, but I think he's spinning the ball very well. So all the arrow pointing up on all the guys basically out there right now. I think at this point in the off season where there aren't pads out there, it's a lot of just kind of flag football. And I think that the wide receiver position certainly is lacking in star power right now, but it looks like there could be some good competition. I would say the wide receiver position is thin with a lot of unproven talent. And so the 49ers certainly are keeping their eyes open for any help that they can get. And one of the names that came up recently is Gabe Davis. I believe a fifth-year pro, played for the Bills. And last year, I think with Jacksonville, is that right? I think that's right. But he's this offseason, it's kind of been a little bit different for him because he did tear his meniscus in week 11 of last season, and he's had a pretty long rehab when it comes to that. And so he's not quite ready to go yet, but he's had recent visits with the 49ers, the Giants, the Steelers, and the Saints. He's somebody who could add to the mix, but certainly not be a number one guy. His best year is 2022 with Buffalo, 48 catches, 846 yards, seven touchdowns. Obviously, a very good season. In 2023, 45 catches, 746 yards, and seven touchdowns. But when you look at the 49ers receiving position right now, it's Jawan Jennings, very clearly the number one guy, followed by Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson, of course, that potential three-game suspension is looming for him. Jacob Cowing has made a significant stride. He and Ricky Pearsall worked out a lot together in the offseason, worked out a lot with Brock Purdy, and I think it shows. So could he be, a third, fourth receiver? That's what he's shooting for. And then Jordan Watkins, the rookie, appears to be ahead of most rookies coming in, looks very polished, has his good days and his bad days. I thought yesterday was a very good day for Jordan Watkins. And then also the punt return or the return specialist, Junior Bergen. He's kind of eyeing a roster spot as well. Then at some point, Brandon Aiyuk will be back midseason or whenever. And then the other guys who are looking to make a spot on this team or earn a spot, a couple of guys with NFL experience. That's Russell Gage and Isaiah Hodgkins. And then also some young guys trying to earn a spot. Malik Knowles, Tariq Owens, and Isaiah Nayer of where he's from Cincinnati, I believe. undrafted rookie for the 49ers, looking to earn a spot, maybe more than likely a practice squad spot. I said Cincinnati. I meant another school that wears red, Nebraska for Isaiah Naylor. I think I was thinking of the running back uh, from uh, from Cincinnati, who, by the way, I saw Frank Gore on the sideline yesterday, and he liked him. Corey Kiner from Cincinnati likes Corey Kiner, and also Jordan James, the fifth round draft pick. Um, I said something to Frank about Jordan James. Kind of, does he remind you of yourself a little bit? And Frank said, I think that was a little bit more elusive than Jordan James, but kind of a no nonsense runner. So that's where the 49ers are with that. Of course, one of the big discussion points for now and forever until, well, it probably will never end is with the kicking situation. And on practice, on Tuesday during practice, it was Jake Moody who got out there for several field goal attempts, and it's not real noticeable. I don't think his the tweaks he's made with compacting his kicking motion, but it looks like he's taken away about a half step out of his run up step up on kicks. And it looked like he was striking the ball pretty well. Like I said, nothing too noticeable. I don't think his distance on kicks will be affected too much, but he made more than he missed. I think the reports were 6 of 7 on his field goal attempts, and that was 11 on 11. Not a huge, pad, not a huge rush to block or anything like that, but certainly Jake Moody in position to win that job. And there's only one other kicker in camp. I know I received a lot of comments about the rookie, undrafted rookie from Louisiana, Kenneth Menderes, and he is not with the team. He got a tryout, but was not signed. The other kicker in camp, a veteran kicker, is Greg Joseph, and I did not see him kick at all yesterday, but certainly appears as if the 49ers believe, new special teams coordinator Brant Boyer believes, by changing out the long snapper, going with a veteran, John Weeks, and by going with a new holder, Thomas Morstead, both specialist, 39 years old, that's going to help Jake Moody kind of get that part of his game down. And by the way, I know there was a lot of discussion, and I had an interview with John Lynch on Tuesday, and he kind of joked about this, but when the team talks about getting younger, I think you can kind of remove from the equation the long snapper and the punter. I don't think that's what they were talking about. I think younger is meaning more like the speed involved on defense, on offense, and when you're dealing with these specialists, I'm not sure that age is really ever much of a factor. Obviously, at some point, a long snapper kind of wears down and isn't as good as he used to be, and the same with a punter. But I think when the Framers were talking about getting younger, it wasn't like, oh, we need a younger long snapper or a younger punter. It was, kind of having those fresh legs and the explosiveness, mostly on defense, I think, but also some spots on offense. And I think the Framers feel like they accomplished that, or are in the process of accomplishing that with their 11 draft picks, because a good many of those will make the team, will make the 53-man roster. And then just when you think about the amount of young guys from last year's draft, the year before, and then this year with, I don't know, out of those 11 draft picks, how many are going to make the team? 8, 9, 10, all 11? Kind of doubt that, but we shall see. So therein lies where the 49ers formula was for getting younger. All right. Well, I think that probably is a good place to end as I get ready to head out to Santa Clara on Wednesday for the 49ers final practice. And thank you for tuning in. And that is it for now.